On today's show, we visit the Plymouth Area Coalition for the Homeless and hear original poetry from Bill Alberti and John Holgerson. And if you're looking to learn or just have some fun, we'll also be talking about classes, programs, and upcoming things to do in Plymouth, Pembroke, Kingston, and Duxbury. We're glad you're here. Let's get started. Tree huggers and lovers are invited to head into the virtual forest and really see the forest for the trees. On Tuesday, April 8th at 2 p.m., Smithsonian horticulturalist Matthew Fleming, author of The Tree Book, The Stories, Science, and History of Trees, will lead an hour-long online talk that will deepen our knowledge about the history and science of these giant plants that surround us and provide human shelter, tools, fuel, food, and a view. Visit the Plymouth Public Library's website and tap your green thumb on the register button to get the link to attend. On Saturday, April 5th, your young artists will be buzzing around the craft table, learning about bees and their pollinating brethren at the Plymouth Library Manomet Branch's Spring Pollinator Art Class. Kids will first learn the importance of pollinators to our ecosystem and then participate in a craft led by art educator Keely Farrell from Made in Manomet. Keely will walk kids through how to emboss thin metal sheets featuring their favorite pollinators, be they bees, beetles, or butterflies. They'll be able to add color to their artwork with Sharpies and finish by fitting them into a hexagonal frame to take home and display. This hour-long class starts at 11 a.m. and is good for kids ages 6 to 11. The Plymouth Area Coalition for the Homeless empowers families and individuals to reach independence and their potential through assistance with basic needs. This includes providing shelter, food, and educational resources, all governed through the Coalition's dedication to compassion and social justice. Here's more.
So in 1985, a group of concerned citizens in the town of Plymouth, Greater Plymouth actually, became aware of an excessive number of families and individuals that were living in the state forest, as well as in their cars throughout town. So they mobilized, and what started as a very grassroots organization to address the needs of homeless families has then developed and grown both in size and scope to include several programs. You know, simply put, the mission is really to provide shelter and basic needs support, including food, to individuals and families throughout the greater Plymouth area. We cover 22 communities. We like to believe that our programs all are centered around providing social justice and always delivered with a great deal of compassion. And that's what we work toward, and we hope that we do effectively. There are many reasons why people find them in this situation, that they need emergency assistance shelter, changing economic conditions, and all of a sudden, abruptly, you find yourself in need of housing. Unfortunately, a great number of people have poor credit or no credit. So finances and economic conditions, unexpected illness certainly can cause problems. Sudden job loss, we saw that just recently with COVID, where so many people, all of a sudden, they just found themselves without any income. And no matter what programs the state and the federal government could put forward, it still resulted in homelessness and greater need for many, many people.
You know, obviously before COVID, everybody's working like crazy. We happened to run into an issue where we were renting and the owner needed the apartment for himself. So at that point we were out. You know, my family and I were trying to figure out our own situation, and then my son's mother got hospitalized and passed away. So with that and COVID all together, finances get a little tough. Becoming a single parent, not easy. So here we are.
In the middle of COVID, I was not able to meet my rent. Because of COVID, I was not removed from my apartment right away. I actually stayed there for almost a year with rent still building up that I couldn't pay. I was evicted from my apartment as soon as the restrictions lifted. And actually, I didn't get into here right away. We were in hotels and staying with different people, and it was really a rough time. But I was really glad when we finally got accepted to come here. I was grateful that it was in an area that I was familiar with, so that I could continue to do the things that I needed to do. My kids were able to stay in their local schools, which was really important to me.
Well, everything started with the pandemic. It was diabetes, and also I have high blood pressure. So I stopped working because I was very high risk. When everything started to go down and slow, the rent is expensive, so stopped working, and then I separated with the partner I have. So for a single mother with 3 kids, it was hard to keep up with everything. The rent is way too expensive and impossible, and then I become to live with my son and families. Sometimes they hear friends, and so I decided, well, it's time for me to get something real, not being here and there. And I hear about a lot about the shelters, and it was really scary at the beginning. It was good that I called, and I'm here now. At least it's a place where you can go.
And without question, the elephant in the room certainly is housing is unaffordable. The housing wage is over $36 an hour. Not everyone can work. You can be disabled. And now you're on SSI. Your income is very limited. And how do you afford rents? Our job, first and foremost, as an EA shelter, is to help our families identify housing. And we take it a step further and really want to be sure that it's self-sustainable. We're fortunate we live in a state that has recognized this for a good long time, but with growing, especially on the South Shore, tremendously difficult to identify an apartment. But the team here at the Coalition is definitely dedicated to really working and trying to help everyone overcome those obstacles and identify a place for their family.
The case manager that was here at the time found a program that was a pilot program that they were just starting, and me and my family were accepted into the program, which got us a voucher really quickly. And I was just so grateful that this came across, and I applied right away. I made sure that I turned in every follow-up thing, but then the searching of the apartment was really difficult. Or if I went to a showing, it would be, oh, well, your application one of 50. Or I'd go to a showing and it would be, you're the 20th person we've had here for the showing today. And that really, it made it very difficult because there were so many people that could apply for these apartments. Now, I was looking at private apartments, but everywhere I went, there were so many people that wanted these apartments. A lot of them were even willing to pay more than the asking. And yeah, it made it really difficult to find a place. I looked for a long time.
The EA shelter program is definitely a wonderful opportunity for families that find themselves homeless. That said, it is a program, and we talk about that all the time. There are expectations and responsibilities. The head of the household is responsible to make sure that their assigned chore is taken care of on a daily basis. There are curfews. You're sharing, it's congregate living. So you have rights and responsibilities, but we also want you to respect the rights and responsibilities of everyone else that's here. Yes, it's a program, but it's a program designed to help these people, these individuals, move forward and really be out and take care of their families themselves, and that's what they want. That's really what they want.
Overall, it hasn't been bad at all. They give you more access to services. Obviously, it's a safe place for my kid, low hassle, and again, anything we need, all we have to do is ask. It makes moving forward a little easier. My biggest concern right now is housing near my son's school. He has autism. He's been in a special ed program since kindergarten. He's 11 now, he's in 6th grade. And with all the, trauma he's gone through and all the crazy stuff in our lives, the biggest thing is keeping him in that educational circle for his own mental stability. So they're trying to help me find apartments and rental assistance and everything up in that direction to keep him in the most stable environment we can. So that's the biggest thing for, and anything I need, like I said, they helped us apply for public housing assistance, weekly searches. We meet once a week and go through all the housing stuff, which is, again, my biggest issue.
So in addition to providing emergency assistance shelter for homeless families, the coalition also runs the FAIR program, which is a family and individual resource program providing clothing, household, and furniture to families and individuals that need those resources. Certainly our food pantry, the coalition food pantry, is a tremendous resource to those people in our community that need support. We also are very proud to operate the Children's Holiday Fund. Children's Holiday Fund provides holiday gifts and winter clothing and holiday meal baskets for over 500 children.
The coalition offered me, the food pantry and Christmas help and, things like that I wasn't going to be able to do for my children. I really still care about a lot of the residential staff here. They were just kind and caring people who really showed you that you mattered. And that was so important, because when you come into a shelter, your self-esteem can be pretty low at that point. And just for somebody to acknowledge you and say, I see you, I hear you, you're a person.
We want their stay while in shelter to be comfortable. We want to create an environment where while they're here on a temporary basis, we want them to be able to still enjoy the memory making that all families do with their children. So while we want them to have happiness and share memorable moments while they're here, the idea is not that this is your home. It's a place where you can be safe and where you have people around you that will help ensure that you can keep your family fed, clothed, safe, and that there is a plan so that you can have your own family home.
My family and I have been through worse, unfortunately. Years ago, we hit a similar situation with finances. I was injured. My girl was having trouble finding work, so we kind of used to the process to a certain extent. It's new with just my youngest and I, but overall, it hasn't been bad. He has a little trouble dealing with other people. His boundaries are a little tough, so I know people get a little frustrated, but everybody's been really gracious with him. They've tried to be as mindful as they could to the situation, so getting along with everybody's relatively simple. Everybody does their own thing.
Sometimes I see people and they are like a worse situation and they make me think, well, I'm not that, I can do it, I can go up. I just have to do things better and I can do it myself. It's just there's a little hard because I got 3 kids and I'm a single mother, but I know you can get out of it. They help you getting housing. They'll help you getting in your feet. They will help you. I know it's someone there. It's someone here to help me to do the right thing.
Well, the biggest thing is I want to be somewhere stable for my son and I. I don't want to depend on everybody else, rooming with family members, doing this, doing that. So I want to get him where he needs to be and figure out our base of operations and build from there. Get working again, get things moving. All you can do is go and go. At least we know we have somewhere to come home to. We don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about anything. If, God forbid, you couldn't get food, they'd help you figure it out. If you couldn't get around, they'd do it.
I want to say that the thing that gave me the most hope was, just knowing there had to be something out there for me. There had to be. I'm a Christian woman. My faith is very strong, and that is something that really got me through my time here. And now I'm in this beautiful home. It really was, if anything could have been my dream apartment, this was it. This is absolutely it. I love it there. I'm so happy. I think, you know, you need to really keep that hope alive, because it's a fight. It's a fight to get out of here. It really is. It's a battle, and you really need to be able to cling on to hope.
Anytime you have the opportunity to improve someone else's life, it certainly is a joyful moment. For us, when we can identify housing for a family and they move on, it's wonderful. Across the towns of the South Shore, we receive so much support for our work. The food pantry, just wonderful response from individuals, from organizations, from businesses, foundations, the banks. We couldn't do nearly what we do or make the difference we do in lives if it weren't for the communities all around us. And that's absolute truth. And there but for a cast of thousands, you know, we get to see those joyful moments. But yeah, that, I think, you know, anytime you can help anybody, and sometimes the littlest thing you do for someone means the world to them.
To apply for assistance or support the coalition if you can, visit PlymouthAreaCoalition.org. When it comes to fun guys, there is one in particular that has really grown on us and does not leave much room for competition. In a program geared towards elementary school kids and their families, the Duxbury Free Library has invited their friends from McGuire's Mushrooms, a family-owned mushroom farm, to come down to the Merry Room on Thursday, April 10th to teach kids all the amazing facts that make mushrooms such an interesting species. This hour-long program starts at 2 p.m. and you can register through the library's website. Join author, historian, and director of the Hanover Historical Society, Stephen O'Neill, to learn more about the role the Plymouth 1749 courthouse played in America's fight for independence. Plymouth's 1749 courthouse, Revolution in the Courts, will be on Wednesday, April 2nd at 7 p.m. and will underscore the import of the courtroom as battlefield. This will be the first of 5 lectures in the Plymouth and the Revolution lecture series hosted by the Plymouth Public Library, which will shed light on the multifaceted contributions of local revolutionaries, from the lawyers who inspired the patriot cause, the soldiers who left their homes to fight, the civilians who kept the home fires burning, to the loyalists who continued to support the king. The series will run on Wednesday evenings through May. Visit their website for additional dates. Next up is poet John Holgerson in a reading of his original ekphrastic poem.
Good afternoon. I'm John Holgerson, and I want to start by thanking Miriam for her kind words about me earlier. But the reality of it is, without Miriam's efforts over the last nearly a decade, and through her efforts now as Poet Laureate of Plymouth, Mass., Poetry, the Art of Words continues to maintain itself and survive, and that in itself is an accomplishment worthy of a round of applause for Miriam. The photograph I chose is by Rick Branscombe. Is Rick Branscombe here? Oh, he is. Okay. When I saw the photograph, I thought I saw a story there in the photograph, and that's why I selected it. But I had no idea what that story would actually turn out to be. So shortly after I selected it, I turned to my wife, Robin, and I asked her what she thought of the photograph. And she said, "You should write a romantic poem." Robin and I have been married for more than 40 years, and I have learned, I'm a slow learner, but I have learned during that time that her advice and her suggestions are well worth following. I got stuck about halfway through the first draft, so I thought I'd go online and see if I could find anything out about the photograph. I learned that it recently had won first prize at the Cape Cod Art Gallery for street photography, and that Rick Branscombe had, among many other accomplishments, taught writing for nearly 4 decades. So I felt the pressure increasing, and now that he's here, it's even ratcheted up that much more. In the quiet heart of night, outside the silent confines of a closed library, where the street curb curves inward, creating a wide concrete smile, some wooden chairs with light tables await a late after dark oasis. Alone in the quiet heart of night, beneath the brightest lamplight, she sits on a chair near a tall oak tree. She sees the small white scar on its trunk. She smiles at the hewn heart-shaped tattoo, empty of letters that might betray the lovers, empty as the chair where he once sat. She places a blue book on the table in front of that abandoned seat. Using a slender yellow ribbon, she flips it open to Yeats's poem about a brown penny. She hears him reciting those wistful words while his deft fingers loop themselves in her auburn curls. Then he is gone. She opens a gray book of Dickinson's poems, finds the one about solitude and loneliness, for that is where she is at this moment, in the very caverns and corridors of her soul, trying to prevent the inevitable erosion of memory, wanting always to remember his touch, his voice, his laughter, along the length of time we call forever. Thank you.
Exciting news and congratulations for Plymouth's own Emily Brenton. The 8-year-old is one of 39 skaters selected to compete on the world stage with the Dedham Saving Sweepers in the upcoming ISU World Figure Skating Championship at TD Garden in Boston on March 25th. The Sweepers are a team of 6 to 14-year-old skaters selected for ability, personality, and positive attitude. Emily and her teammates will be participating in 8 competitive events and the Exhibition of Champions. Will they ice the competition? Find out and get your tickets for this prestigious event at isuworlds2025.com. If you have gently used toys for any age group that your children are no longer using and you would like to donate, the Duxbury Free Library will be collecting them for their first ever toy swap on April 26th. Drop off donations to the Children's Room during the collection period of April 5th to April 19th, anytime during the library's open hours. Please bring toys that are clean, not weapons, complete with all parts, and have any batteries required removed. If you donate a toy, you get a special entry ticket that will admit you to the toy swap event an hour early at 10 a.m. No registration is required for donation drop-off or the toy swap. Do you own a DSLR camera you'd like to learn more about using? On Tuesday, April 8th at 6 p.m., photographer Stephanie Faherty will be at the Font School in Kingston to lend a hand and her experience. This program will focus on camera settings, the importance of light, provide instruction on a few basic photography skills, and teach you how to apply them to a multitude of photo opportunities. Register through the Kingston Public Library website. There is no denying the immense impact the band Nirvana had on gloriously upending the world of rock and roll and changing the fabric of popular culture to flannel with the release of the album Nevermind in 1991. Seeing them live is an experience many from that generation are nostalgic for, and later generations wish they had the opportunity. The Nirvana Tribute Experience at Soundcheck Studios on Thursday, April 10th, may be the show everyone wants. Nirvana was formed with the intention to transcend being just a tribute band. Paying homage to the unique and raw performances Nirvana contributed to the canon of live music, Nirvana create the most accurate, captivating Nirvana show since The Real Thing by using instruments authentic to the era and embodying the appearance and talent of Kurt Cobain, Chris Novoselic, and Dave Grohl. Doors open at 7 p.m. and the show starts at 8 p.m. with an opening set by Far Above the Ground. On Friday, March 28th, Don't miss seeing our local stars at night dance through the decades at the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce's annual Dancing with Our Stars gala event. This fabulous fundraising extravaganza raises money for the Plymouth Area One Fund, a charitable initiative established by the Chamber to provide support and resources to small, independently owned Plymouth area businesses. There are several ways to gaze at our dancing stars to support this good cause. The Local Scene is a proud media sponsor. Tune in live to our community channel on March 28th at 7:30 p.m. You can also catch the show live on the Chamber's Facebook page and live on the Local Scene YouTube channel. Next up is Bill Alberti in a reading of his original work.
Our next reader is Bill Alberti.
So nice to see so many familiar faces. So I came in last Saturday and met Kat, and we had a nice conversation, and then I said I need to pick out a print. And she said, well, you can't have that one because someone picked that one, and you can't have that one, someone picked that one. So I kind of wandered around, and I came up with this one, if I may. And lo and behold, it's one of her prints. Libretto, a small story for an opera. Wandering the Wilderness. In this color screen print by Catherine Libretto, one views a universal desolate desert. The work depicts vast blue-gray evening sky with flaxen moon centered in all its full-orbed glory. The vast flat horizon line is low, landscape littered with tumbleweed and cactus scattered in patches of sand. 2 cactus trees frame the foreground, their prickly fingers focus pointing to a small illuminated tent, the only hint of human life. But who would wander to this desolate desert destination? Who would choose to sleep miles from nowhere, from anywhere? Was it the seduction of a silent night, the peaceful protection of sentinel trees, the solitude of a sparse oasis, or the wanderlust to lose oneself? One's heart can find hope in crisp, dry air and soft moonlight, and the knowledge that, unlike the desert, the heart is not isolated, barren, and prickly. Not all who wander are lost. Thank you. And the last line is actually the title of her piece. Not all who wander are lost. I love that.
Thank you, Bill.
And that, my friends, wraps this episode of The Local Scene this week. Thank you for watching. And if you live or work in Plymouth, Pembroke, Kingston, or Duxbury and would like to have your own show or podcast, you should. Email community@thelocalscene.media to find out about our free production services and training for community members. And if you have a story or event you'd like people to know about, email us at story@thelocalscene.media. We thank our patrons, Tiny & Sons, Quintal Brothers, and Squinny's Pizza for supporting our mission of community in action through media. We'll be back next week with more of what's good and good to know in our area. Until then, we'll see you on The Local Scene. For more of what's good and good to know on the South Shore of Massachusetts, hit the subscribe button, and thank you for watching.